Hey guys, my name's Gavin and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make emotional guitar loops inside of FL Studio without a real guitar. So yeah, I'm sure I'll have the title be something different, like how to make so-and-so guitar loops for name an artist right here. But yeah, follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at gavinhadley_, because I always want to work with people. Feel free to send me loops to gavinhadleybeats@gmail.com. And can we get this video to like 15 likes? That'd be pretty cool. And also feel free to subscribe if you've not already. And without further ado, let's get into the loop that I created. So I'm gonna try to break this down to the best of my ability for you guys today. I don't feel like this type of tutorial style has really been done on YouTube. I'm really gonna try to go in depth, like to the best of my ability right now, to explain some of this. And yeah, I did a lot for this loop, so let's get started. Alright, so here is the loop itself. Alright, so this is going to be part of my new loop kit. I don't even know when it's coming out. I should have planned this better. Probably in the next like 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to be one of the loops a part of the kit. I plan on having like 25 loops in the kit, and I don't know how much I'm going to sell it for yet. It might be free. Who knows? Maybe this can be a free and a paid version. Doesn't matter, but this is going to be part of the kit. So yeah, I'm going to show you guys how I made it. So this is the final sample. Keep in mind it's pitched down 2 semitones, which makes it in the key of C minor, I believe. So yeah, the rest at the beginning of this is going to sound a little bit different. So I'm going to start with this first bass guitar melody. I used the guitar patch from Omnisphere, pretty sure it's from a kit. It's basically just a generic guitar sound. And then this is what it sounds like. Or first I'll show you the effects that I put on it. So I started with this radiator plugin from Soundtoys. Basically gives it like kind of a distorted feel. Then I added some stereo shaper, a free plugin in FL Studio. Just widened up the sound a little bit and experiment it with yourself. You'll see what I mean if you use it. And then I added a little bit of reverb and then some EQ, and then I just brought down this high frequency, this high mid frequency that the top part of the guitar, yeah, I kind of thought it was a little too harsh, if that makes any sense, so I just brought it down a little bit. And then this is what the MIDI looks like. So really simple MIDI. I know it looks complex at first, but we're going to break it down into the root notes. So it goes D, C, A sharp, and back up to C. And then here, all I did was play a D minor chord. It's a D minor chord, except I moved these notes over a 1/3 step. I'm working in triplets here. Moved it over 1/3 step and like just played it twice, as you can see. And then here, this would be a little exception. I just brought it down a little bit. That's just by ear. There's no really way that I can explain that. But then here we have, this is, I don't know what this is called, to be honest. This isn't a triad or of any sort. It's, so if I were to bring this down, so you can see these notes are right next to each other. This is the kind of thing that like internet money producers do. I know in a lot of side piece tutorials, he does this kind of chord technique where he grabs like 2 notes that are next to each other that work in the scale, and then he just picks another note that sounds good to him, and he makes a chord out of them by using different inversions to spread them apart so they don't sound all crunchy, like if they were together. So as you can see, I did that for a while here, and then I went back up. Same thing, I just spread out like these, spread them out as you can see right there. Then I went back up. These are actually the same as that, as you can see, just to kind of give the melody a sense of closure. I feel like this is like a good transitioning kind of sequence of notes, I guess you could say. So that's basically the bass melody there. Now I have this top part, which is the part that I thought was a little too harsh when all of the when everything was going at the same time. So I added reverb, or I added EQ to it to make it sound a little less harsh. But yeah, so I have. Alright, so this is, I forgot, this is just same thing, except I just put it up an octave to add a little bit of variation because I thought it got a little too repetitive, so that's a better way of explaining that. But here, so this is all by ear, as a lot of top melodies are. I can't really give you guys a direct, like, definitive answer on how to make melodies, or top melodies. It's basically all about finding your ear, finding, like, I don't know, kind of an idea in your mind that you want to try to replicate, and it doesn't really involve too much music theory. It's just using notes that are in the scale and trying to create something out of it. So yeah, I'm not going to explain too much of this. You can see it right here. It's just really going up the scale, using a lot of repetition with these notes to play like the whole time. And really it's just that, and like, I don't know, I just changed up a couple notes. Really simple. So this is what it sounds like without effects too. I think that's worth showing. Really, it sounds dry. It doesn't sound as realistic. I'm not saying it sounds completely realistic, because there's definitely some modifications that could be made to it, but I like the way it sounds, so that's really all that matters. Definitely sounds a lot better like this. A lot more full, loud, clear. So yeah, next sound. This next sound, actually I'll skip to this. This is a, I don't want to say this wrong, a xylophone, that's what I thought it was, from Expand, and this is what it sounds like. Same as the last melody, I just layered it, except I didn't bring up one of these, what's it called? Like, I brought up one of these F notes here for the guitar, but I didn't do it for the xylophone. I just left it how it was. So yeah, basically the same exact melody, except I added a lot of post-processing to it to make it sound the way it does. This is what it sounds like dry. I wanted to give it really like a background, just like bouncy kind of feel. So that's why it's like plucked and not sustained. But then here I added this Pan Man plugin that basically changes like what ear it comes out of, so it gives it kind of like more movement. As you can see, it switches from like the left to the right ear. Then I added ozonate elements to widen up the sound a little bit, because I felt like it was a little too much centered. I wanted it to be wider, which gives it like a louder feel too. And then I added reverb to it just to make it a little louder, or not a little louder, to give it like a little bit more ambiance. And also, I didn't want to have this be too loud. I kind of tucked it away in the mix, so it kind of just be in the background. And this is what they both sound like together now. Alright, so then here I have this sound. It's just this key from Omnisphere. I didn't want to use it too much because, as you can hear, it's like a really unique key. It kind of emits like an interesting sound here. I don't know. It's really... yeah, I can't really even explain this. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. It's just one of those like background elements that just makes like, I don't know. It's not ideal to make a melody out of that sound, but it just works as like a background sound in like a loop or something. It can add a lot to the loop without being really complex. And it's also tucked in the background too. So this is what everything sounds like right now. And then this, the way I made this, it's just, I kind of treated it as like a top melody. So there's not really any music theory to it. It's just picking notes from the scale that I thought fit in well with the melody itself. So yeah, that's what it all sounds like. And I didn't end up really putting anything on it. I had reverb on it originally, but I realized that I think I just wanted to leave it dry. So it was already had enough reverb on it, I thought. Okay, so that's that. And now here I have this flute. Play by itself. Again, I used it as like a kind of a top melody here, so not much music theory, just going up and down the scale, because I wanted to give the melody a little contrast, because there's not too much movement in it. This, as you can see, it's probably the most drastic form of movement in the melody. It goes all the way up, all the way down. It kind of acts like a wave, which I tend to do that in a lot of my beats. I have a lot of melodies that resemble kind of like a wave pattern. That's always like, I'm not going to say it's, because there's nothing really, no proven way to make like a perfect melody, obviously, but that's a strategy that I use a lot to give my melody a lot of range. So yeah. And I like to use these sequence of notes. I'm not sure exactly what this is called in different scales and stuff, but we're working in the minor scale right now. But there's always these two notes in the scale that are right next to each other on the keyboard that I think sound pretty cool together. So I like to start a lot of my melodies using them. Alright, so that's that. That's what it all sounds like together. almost forgot about post-processing here. I added this plugin, it's called Little Alter Boy, and I blended it so this, by raising this knob, it starts out like this. By raising it up to -12, wait, am I saying this right? This is actually raising it up an entire octave. So this -12, like each time you go down, it's going up one semitone, which eventually, if you go to 12, will give you a whole octave. So this basically is blending in a higher pitch of the flute with the original pitch of it. And I thought when the bar was full here, or the circle was full, it was too much, so I blended it down a little bit more to give it the feel that I was going for. So it kind of like serves as, it almost sounds like it's getting distorted a little bit, but there's a little bit more of that like extra octave higher frequency that you can kind of hear. It's tucked away in the back. But yeah, so that's what all of this sounds like so far. Now I just have a couple more sounds here. I have this, just like a background sound, just follows the root notes of the scale, or of the chord, the original guitar, and this is what it sounds like. It's like this, just a synth from Omnisphere. It's just a really odd sound that you probably wouldn't normally use in a melody, but I thought it served a good purpose if I was able to tuck it in the back, and as you can see, I affected the crap out of it. So this is what it sounds like dry without effects on it. So there's like that high-end kind of distortion going on it. So first I added reverb to kind of soften that distortion, and then we can not worry about this love filter. I didn't end up using it. I was just experimenting with it. And then I added this plugin that kind of makes it, kind of cuts out some of the high-end frequencies and makes it kind of, I don't know, I don't really know how to explain that one, but yeah, I have that, and then I have this phase mistress, which gives it like, I think it gives it, so it kind of phases it up and down, like this, you can hear it. Kind of pitch bends it. So it gets it out of tune and back in tune and all over the place, but it's tucked in the back so you really can't hear it. But I thought it did a good job adding a little bit of low end to the sample. But yeah, then I have this last thing, which is this arcade preset here. It's just the yield preset from the Aura. Yeah, one of the Aura banks, and this is what that sounds like. I'll play it. So it kind of starts low and then it like builds up. That's just this really cool texture that. Yeah, so it's just this really cool texture. I recommend if you don't already have Arcade to get it. It's like $10 a month or something, and it just gives really cool textures. I don't use it for like making like main melodies and stuff. I use it kind of just like as a background element. I use it a lot for its vocals as well. I think it has really cool vocals. But yeah, then I just routed that to the mixer, and I didn't add any effects on it. I thought it was already good how it was, so I left it. And that makes up all of the melodic components of the melody. And that's how I structure my loops to send out and to get them ready for people to use. I just have everything playing in the sample, or if I have two different sections that I want playing, like say I have two different like top melodies, I'll just double this so it's right here in this area, and then I'll just take out one of the melodies and add in a different one. Then after that, I just kind of have like a staircase of all of the different melodies singled out that were used in the sample, so people can chop them up and arrange the beat how they would like it. So yeah, and after that, I rendered it out because I thought that everything sounded good, but I wanted to experiment and see if it would like change it if I change the sample if I pitched it down at all. So I went over here to the master channel where everything's playing out of. This button would normally not be red. I made it red, which arms the channel. And then I went up here to the disc recording option, and I pressed render to wave file, and then I would press start, and that would render out everything in this area. I'm not sure if this is for all FL Studio versions. I know it's for FL Studio 20, obviously. It would render out all of these into an audio file here. So just the same thing, just I can't edit it anymore. Ugh. So then I muted all of these. I had this now as an audio file. This was reset, and all I did was drag it down 200 cents. And if you can't see exactly how far you're dragging it down, make sure you're on an even like increment of 100 for the sense. Like say if I were to have it at 214 here, as you saw up on the top left corner, that would technically be not in a key. It'd be a little out of tune. So make sure you have it exactly at 100 or 200. That could be common knowledge. I don't know. I didn't know that was there, so I would kind of like guess for like my first little bit of producing, and that's not good, as you know. But yeah, that's basically how I made the sample. I'll play it again for you guys, everything together. Oh yeah, and then I added on the master channel for everything, once I exported it as an audio file, I thought that they could use a little bit more low end, but I didn't want to add like a bass or something, so I just opened up a Fruity Parametric EQ2 and raised the low end a little bit on the sample to make it stand out a little bit more. So yeah, this is what it sounds like. Yeah, so that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As per usual, follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at gavinhadley_. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.